The stars twinkled in the vast emptiness of space. Among them, a strange object moved. It was not a comet or an asteroid. It was a ship, but not one made by humans. This ship belonged to the Galdor, an alien race from a far-off galaxy. The Galdor ship slowed as it entered the solar system. Its captain, a tall, blue-skinned creature named Zor, looked at the screens before him. His big eyes blinked as he saw the third planet from the sun. "What a beautiful blue world," Zor said to his crew. "Let's get closer and see if anyone lives there." As the Galdor ship moved towards Earth, it didn't know that it had already been spotted. Deep in a secret base on Earth, alarms went off. Men and women in uniforms ran to their stations. Among them was General Kim, a stern-faced man with graying hair. "Report," he barked. A young officer named Lee spoke up. "Sir, we've detected an unknown object near Jupiter. It's moving towards Earth." General Kim's face grew serious. "Is it a meteor?" "No, sir," Lee replied. "It's moving too, purposefully. We think it might be a ship." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. They weren't alone in the universe. General Kim picked up a red phone. "Get me the president," he said, "and contact the UNSS Thunderbolt. They need to check this out." Miles above the Earth, in a space station, Captain J1 of the UNSS Thunderbolt was having a quiet day. He was a tall man with kind eyes and a serious face. He floated in the zero gravity, looking at Earth through a window. Suddenly, a loud beep filled the air. J1 pushed off the wall and floated to the communication panel. "Captain J1 here," he said. A voice crackled through the speaker. "Captain, this is Earth Command. We have a situation." J1 listened as they told him about the strange object. His eyes widened. "Understood," he said. "We'll head out right away." J1 turned to his crew. "Everyone to your stations. We're going to investigate an unknown object near Jupiter." The crew of the Thunderbolt sprang into action. They had trained for this, but none of them thought it would ever happen. First contact with aliens was no longer science fiction. As the Thunderbolt prepared to leave, news of the alien ship spread on Earth. People reacted in different ways. Some were excited, others scared. Many didn't believe it at all. In New York, crowds gathered in Times Square, looking up at the sky. In Tokyo, scientists worked around the clock, trying to send messages to the alien ship. In a small town in Africa, a young girl named Amma dreamed of meeting the aliens and becoming friends. But not everyone was happy. In many countries, armies got ready for a possible fight. They didn't know if the aliens were friendly or not. Back on the Thunderbolt, Captain J1 looked at his crew. He saw fear in some eyes, excitement in others. He felt both. "Whatever happens," he said, "we're making history today. Let's show these aliens the best of humanity." The ship's engines roared to life. Slowly, the Thunderbolt moved away from the space station. Its silver hull gleamed in the sunlight as it pointed towards Jupiter. As they flew, J1 thought about what might happen. Would the aliens be friendly? Would there be a fight? He hoped for peace, but prepared for war. Little did J1 know, his ship was about to change the course of human history. The UNSS Thunderbolt was more than just a spaceship. It was humanity's greatest achievement, a marvel of technology and power that would soon shock the Galdor. As Earth grew smaller behind them, J1 took a deep breath. "Let's go meet our new neighbors," he said. The Thunderbolt sped up, racing towards its date with destiny. The moment when aliens would see the might of a human battleship was drawing near. As the UNSS Thunderbolt sped towards Jupiter, Earth was buzzing with activity. In a large, brightly lit room in New York, Ambassador Sume paced back and forth. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a determined look on her face. "We must try to talk to them peacefully," she said to the room full of world leaders. "We can't start a war with beings we don't understand." Many nodded, but some looked doubtful. One man spoke up. "But what if they attack first?" Sunai sighed. "That's why we have the Thunderbolt. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. Meanwhile, on the alien ship, Captain Zor was excited. "Look at all the radio signals coming from that blue planet," he said to his crew. "It's full of life." Zor's second-in-command, a short, green alien named Vex, looked worried. "But Captain, some of those signals seem aggressive. Maybe we should be careful." Zor waved his long blue arm. "Nonsense. I'm sure they'll be happy to see us." Back on the Thunderbolt, Captain J1 received a message from Earth. "Captain," said the voice of General Kim, "we're sending Ambassador Sumi's message to you. Try to communicate with the aliens when you get close." "Understood, sir," J1 replied. He turned to his communication officer, a young woman named Minji. "Get ready to send that message as soon as we're in range." As the Thunderbolt neared Jupiter, they finally saw the alien ship. It was huge, at least 3 times the size of the Thunderbolt. Its surface sparkled with strange lights. "Wow," whispered Minji. Everyone on the bridge stared in awe. J1 shook himself out of the daze. "Okay, let's do this. Minji, send the message." Minji nodded and pressed a button. Ambassador Sumi's voice filled the air, first in Korean, then repeated in several Earth languages. "Greetings, visitors from the stars. We welcome you in peace and hope to learn from each other. Please respond if you understand this message." They waited, hearts pounding. Seconds felt like hours. Suddenly, the ship's speakers crackled. A strange voice spoke, the words oddly accented but understandable. "Greetings, Earth beings. We are the Galdor. We come in peace and wish to share our advanced knowledge with you." Cheers erupted on the Thunderbolt. J1 smiled, but something felt off. The alien's tone seemed condescending. On the Galdor ship, Zor grinned at Vex. "See, they're primitive but friendly. This will be easy." Vex frowned. "Captain, I don't think we should underestimate them. Their ship looks quite advanced." But Zor wasn't listening. He was already dreaming of how easy it would be to take over this new world. Over the next few days, the Thunderbolt and the Galdor ship talked more. But with each conversation, tensions grew. The Galdor kept talking about how primitive Earth was and how they could help humans become better. J1 didn't like it. During a private call with Ambassador Sumi, he said, "Ma'am, I think they see us as less than them, like we're children or pets." Sumi nodded, her face grim. "I feared this might happen. Keep talking to them, but be careful. We don't want to start a fight, but we can't let them push us around either." As days passed, the Galdor became more demanding. They wanted to send ships to Earth to help set up new governments and teach humans their ways. World leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to welcome the aliens, hoping to learn from them. Others, like General Kim, wanted to prepare for war. "We can't trust them," General Kim said in a meeting. "They're acting like they own us already." The arguments got heated. In the end, they decided to stall for time. Ambassador Sumi would keep talking to the Galdor, while Earth's military got ready, just in case. But the Galdor were getting impatient. One day, as J1 was talking to Zor, the alien captain's friendly mask slipped. "You Earth beings are taking too long to decide," Zor snapped. "Perhaps you need encouragement." J1's blood ran cold. "What do you mean by that?" Zor's voice turned hard. "You have 1 Earth day to surrender your planet to Galdor rule. If you refuse, we will take it by force." The communication cut off. J1 stared at the silent screen, his heart racing. The moment they had all feared had come. It was time for Earth to show its true strength. The news of the Galdor's ultimatum spread quickly. On Earth, people were scared. They looked up at the sky, wondering if alien ships would appear at any moment. In a secret underground base, Admiral Tai Yong stood in front of a large screen. He was an old man with a stern face and many medals on his uniform. The screen showed Earth's space fleet, all the ships humans had built to explore space. It's time. Tai Yong said to the room full of officers. Send out the call. Every ship we have needs to be ready for battle. All around Earth, spaceships began to take off. Some were small and fast. Others were big and slow, carrying lots of weapons. They all headed towards the moon, where they would meet and form Earth's defense fleet. On the USS Thunderbolt, Captain J1 got the message to join the fleet. But before he left, he had an idea. Minji, he called to his communication officer. Get me Lieutenant Yunji. I need to talk to her right away. Yunji was the Thunderbolt's top engineer. She was young, with messy hair and oil stains on her uniform. When she arrived on the bridge, J1 explained his plan. The Galdor think we're weak, he said. But what if we could surprise them? Can you make our weapons stronger? Yunji thought for a moment. Then her eyes lit up. I have an idea, Captain. But it's risky. We'll need to change how our main gun works. Do it, J1 said. We need every advantage we can get. As Yunji ran off to work on the new weapon, the Thunderbolt joined the growing fleet near the moon. J1 looked out at all the ships. There were hundreds of them, but would it be enough? Back on Earth, world leaders met to decide what to do. Some wanted to give in to the Galdor to avoid a war. Others wanted to fight. Ambassador Sumai stood up to speak. We tried to be friendly, she said, but the Galdor only want to control us. We must stand up for ourselves. In the end, they all agreed. Earth would not surrender. Sumai sent one last message to the Galdor. We choose freedom. We will defend our home. On the Galdor ship, Captain Zor received the message. He laughed. Foolish humans, he said to his crew. They think they can fight us. We'll crush them easily. Zor called for more Galdor ships. Soon, a large fleet of alien ships appeared near Jupiter. They were ready to attack Earth. As both sides prepared for war, people on Earth tried to go on with their lives. But everyone was scared and worried. In a small town, a teacher named Jisoo tried to calm her students. Remember, she said, humans have faced big challenges before. We've always found a way to survive. One little boy raised his hand. But teacher, what if the aliens are too strong? Jisoo smiled. Then we'll have to be smarter, she said. That's how humans have always won. Up in space, on the Thunderbolt, Yunji worked day and night on the new weapon. She didn't sleep or eat much. Her hands shook from drinking too much coffee. Finally, after 3 days, she called Captain J1. It's ready, she said, her voice tired but excited. I've made our main gun twice as powerful. And I've added a surprise the Galdor won't expect. J1 looked at the new weapon system. It was big and complicated. Will it work? He asked. Yunji nodded. It'll work, but we'll only get one shot before it overheats. We have to make it count. Just then, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Minji's voice came over the speakers. Captain to the bridge. The Galdor fleet is approaching Earth's orbit. J1 took a deep breath. This was it. The moment of truth had arrived. He turned to Yunji. Let's hope we don't need to use your new weapon. But if we do, I'm glad we have it. As J1 hurried to the bridge, he could see Earth in the distance. It looked small and fragile. He made a silent promise to protect it, no matter what. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The space between Earth and Mars was quiet. Then, suddenly, it wasn't. Hundreds of ships appeared, their engines glowing in the darkness. The human fleet had arrived. Admiral Tai Yong's voice crackled over the radio. All ships, take your positions. The Galdor will be here soon. On the USS Thunderbolt, Captain J1 looked at his crew. They were scared, but ready. Remember your training, he said. We can do this. Just then, Minji shouted, Captain. Galdor ship spotted near the asteroid belt. J1's heart raced. Show me, he said. On the big screen, they saw the Galdor fleet. It was huge, with ships of all sizes. Some were as big as cities. Admiral Tai Yong's voice came again. Fighter squadrons, engage the enemy. Bigger ships, hold your positions. J1 watched as Earth's small, fast fighter ships zoomed towards the asteroids. Leading them was Wing Commander Sung Min, the best pilot in the fleet. Sung Min's voice crackled over the radio. "All right, team. Let's show these aliens what humans can do." The fight in the asteroid belt was like nothing anyone had ever seen. Human fighters darted between huge rocks, shooting at the bigger Galdor ships. The aliens were surprised. They didn't expect the human ships to be so fast and nimble. Sung Min's fighter rolled and twisted, avoiding enemy fire. He shot at a Galdor ship, and it exploded in a bright flash. "Got one," he yelled. On the Galdor main ship, Captain Zor was angry. "How are they doing this?" he shouted. "They're just primitives." His second-in-command, Vex, looked worried. "Sir, I think we underestimated them. Their technology is more advanced than we thought." Zor growled. "Send in more ships. We'll crush them with numbers." Back on the Thunderbolt, J1 watched the battle closely. The human fighters were doing well, but there were so many Galdor ships. "Captain," said Minji, "Admiral Tai Yong is calling for us to move in." J1 nodded. "All right, everyone. This is it. Let's show them what the Thunderbolt can do." The huge human battleship moved forward, its engines glowing bright. Other big ships followed. They formed a line, like a wall protecting Earth. As they got closer to the fight, J1 saw a group of Galdor ships chasing Sung Min's fighter. "We need to help them," he said. "Fire warning shots." The Thunderbolt's guns roared to life. Huge beams of light shot past the Galdor ships. They immediately stopped chasing Sung Min. On his ship, Zor saw the Thunderbolt for the first time. His eyes went wide. "What is that?" he asked. Vex checked the scanners. It's a battleship, sir. Much bigger than we thought humans could build." Zor couldn't believe it. How could these primitive humans have such a powerful ship? The battle raged on. Human fighters weaved through asteroids, shooting at Galdor ships. The bigger human ships fired their guns, keeping the aliens back. Sung Min's voice came over the radio again. "We've destroyed 20 of their ships, but there are still so many." J1 knew they couldn't keep fighting like this forever. They needed to do something big to scare the Galdor away. He turned to his weapons officer. "Is NG's new weapon ready?" The officer nodded. "Yes, sir. But remember, we only get one shot." J1 took a deep breath. He looked at Earth, small and blue in the distance. Then he looked at the Galdor fleet, still huge and threatening. "We need to make it count," he said. "Target their biggest ship, the one in the middle." As the Thunderbolt's crew prepared the new weapon, J1 sent a message to all human ships. "Fall back," he said. "We're about to show the Galdor why they shouldn't have underestimated us." The human ships pulled away, leaving a clear path between the Thunderbolt and the main Galdor ship. On his ship, Zor laughed. "Look, they're running away." But Vex wasn't so sure. "Sir, I think they're up to something." J1 stood on the Thunderbolt's bridge, his hand hovering over the fire button. This was the moment that would decide everything. "For Earth," he said quietly. Then he pressed the button. The moment Captain J1 pressed the button, everything changed. The UNSS Thunderbolt shook as its new weapon fired. A bright blue beam, brighter than any star, shot out towards the Galdor fleet. In the silence of space, no one could hear the weapon fire, but everyone could see it. Wing Commander Sung Min, watching from his fighter, whispered, "Wow." The blue beam hit the biggest Galdor ship right in the middle. For a second, nothing happened. Then, the alien ship split in two, like a toy broken by a giant child. On the Galdor ships, there was panic. Captain Zor's eyes were wide with fear. "How?" he shouted. "How can they have such power?" His second-in-command, Vex, was typing quickly on a screen. "Sir, that ship, the Thunderbolt, It's not what we thought. It's much bigger." As Vex spoke, the Thunderbolt began to change. Panels on its sides opened up, revealing more weapons. The ship grew longer and wider. What the Galdor thought was a small ship was actually just the tip of a massive battleship. On Earth, people watched on screens as the Thunderbolt showed its true size. In New York, crowds in Times Square cheered. In a small town, teacher Ji-Soo hugged her students. "See," she said, "I told you humans are smart." Back on the Thunderbolt, Captain J1 smiled at his crew. "Good job, everyone," he said. "Especially you, Yunji. Your weapon worked perfectly." Yunji grinned, but then looked worried. "Thanks, Captain. But the weapon is overheating. We can't fire it again for a while." J1 nodded. "That's okay. I think we made our point." He was right. The Galdor fleet was in chaos. Many ships were turning around, ready to run away. But some were still fighting. Admiral Tai Yong's voice came over the radio. "All ships, attack now." While they're confused, the human fleet moved forward. Fighters zipped between the bigger ships, shooting at the aliens. The Thunderbolt, now fully revealed, fired its regular weapons. Each shot destroyed a Galdor ship. On his ship, Captain Zor was shouting orders. "Fight back. We can still win this." But Vex shook his head. "Sir, we can't. That human ship is too powerful. We need to retreat." Zor didn't want to listen. He was angry and scared. How could these humans, who he thought were weak, be beating his powerful fleet? As the battle continued, the Thunderbolt moved closer to the center of the Galdor fleet. Its size was amazing. It was as big as a city, covered in weapons and strong armor. J1 looked at the Galdor ships on his screen. "They're still fighting," he said. "We need to show them more of what we can do." He turned to his crew. "Prepare all weapons. Target every Galdor ship you can see. Fire when ready." The Thunderbolt lit up like a Christmas tree. Hundreds of weapons, big and small, started firing at once. Beams of light and explosive missiles shot out in all directions. Galdor ships exploded one after another. Those that survived started to turn away, fleeing as fast as they could. On the main Galdor ship, alarms were blaring. Zor looked at the Thunderbolt in fear and awe. It's not possible," he said quietly. Vex grabbed his arm. "Sir, we have to go. Now." Finally, Zor nodded. "All ships," he said into his communicator, his voice shaking. "Retreat. Get us out of here." The remaining Galdor ships turned and fled, disappearing into deep space. On the Thunderbolt, the crew cheered. They had won. Earth was safe. J1 smiled, but he knew the fight wasn't over yet. "Good job, everyone," he said. "But stay alert. They might come back." As the human fleet regrouped, J1 looked out at the stars. The Galdor had underestimated humans. They thought Earth would be an easy target. Instead, they had seen the might of a human battleship, and it had scared them away. But J1 knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy now knew about Earth. What would happen next? For now, though, they had won. Earth was safe, and the Thunderbolt, the pride of humanity, floated in space, ready to defend its home against any threat. The human fleet celebrated their victory, but it was short-lived. Admiral Tai Yong's voice crackled over the radio. "All ships, we're picking up new signals. The Galdor are regrouping near Saturn." Captain J1 frowned. He turned to his crew on the Thunderbolt. "Looks like they're not giving up yet. Let's finish this." The human fleet moved towards Saturn, its rings glowing in the sunlight. As they got closer, they saw the remaining Galdor ships hiding near Titan, Saturn's largest moon. On the main Galdor ship, Captain Zor was angry. "We can't let these humans beat us," he shouted. "We'll use Titan as cover and surprise them." His second-in-command, Vex, looked worried. "But sir, their big ship, the Thunderbolt, it's too strong." Zor smiled for the first time since the battle began. That's why we have a secret weapon. Get it ready. Back on the Thunderbolt, J1 was planning with his team. We need to be careful, he said. Titan's atmosphere could hide their ships. Wing Commander Sung Min's voice came over the radio. Don't worry, Captain. My fighters will scout ahead. Sung Min led his fighter squadron towards Titan. The orange moon was huge, its thick atmosphere swirling with clouds. As they got closer, something strange happened. Captain, Sung Min shouted. Our sensors are going crazy. We can't see anything. Suddenly, Galdor ships appeared from behind Titan. They were using some kind of technology that hid them from human sensors. It's a trap, J1 yelled. All ships prepare for battle. The space around Titan exploded into chaos. Human and Galdor ships fired at each other, their weapons lighting up the darkness. On the Thunderbolt, alarms were blaring. Captain, shouted Minji, our shields are weakening. Whatever they're using, it's affecting our systems. J1 gritted his teeth. Eunji, we need that special weapon again. But Eunji shook her head. It's still not ready, Captain. It needs more time to cool down. The battle raged on. Human fighters zoomed between the bigger ships, trying to protect them. But the Galdor's surprise attack was working. Several human ships were badly damaged. Admiral Taeyong's voice came through, sounding worried. We can't take much more of this. We might have to retreat. J1 couldn't believe it. After coming so far, were they going to lose? Just then, a young engineer named Hai-Jin ran onto the bridge. Captain, I have an idea. Everyone turned to look at her. Hai-Jin was new to the crew, and she was always quiet. But now her eyes were shining with excitement. They're hiding technology, she said quickly. It's using Titan's atmosphere to work. If we can change the atmosphere, maybe we can disrupt it. J1 didn't fully understand, but he trusted his crew. Do it, he said. Hai-Jin ran to a control panel. Her fingers flew over the buttons. I'm going to use our gravity generators, she explained. If we can create a big enough wave in Titan's atmosphere. Suddenly, the Thunderbolt shook. Outside, Titan's atmosphere began to swirl and churn like a giant storm. On the Galdor ships, alarms started blaring. Zor looked at his screens in panic. What's happening? Why can't I see our ships? The Galdor's hiding technology failed. All at once, every alien ship became visible to the human fleet. Now, shouted J1, all ships fire at will. The human fleet attacked with everything they had. The Thunderbolt's weapons lit up the space around Titan. Sung Min and his fighters dived in, taking out the smaller Galdor ships. In just a few minutes, it was over. The remaining Galdor ships, including Zor's, turned and fled, disappearing into deep space. On the Thunderbolt, the crew cheered. J1 smiled at Hai-Jin. Quick thinking, he said. You saved us all. Hai-Jin blushed. I just remembered something from my science classes about atmospheres and waves, she said. As the human fleet regrouped, Admiral Taeyong's happy voice came over the radio. We did it, he said. Earth is safe, and it's all thanks to the brave men and women of our fleet, and especially the crew of the Thunderbolt. J1 looked at his tired but happy crew. They had faced a powerful enemy and won. The Galdor had seen the might of a human battleship and the cleverness of its crew. As they turned their ships towards home, J1 knew that everything had changed. Humans were no longer alone in the universe, and they had proved they could stand up to anyone who threatened them. The Thunderbolt led the fleet back towards the beautiful blue planet they had fought so hard to protect. Earth was waiting, and it was time to go home. The journey back to Earth was quiet. The crew of the Thunderbolt, tired but proud, watched as their home planet grew larger in the view screen. Captain J1 stood on the bridge, thinking about everything that had happened. As they entered Earth's orbit, cheers erupted from the radio. People all over the world were celebrating. The Thunderbolt and the rest of the fleet had saved Earth from the Galdor invasion. When they landed, crowds were waiting. People waved flags and threw flowers. Jai-1 and his crew stepped out of the Thunderbolt to loud applause. They saw Admiral Tai-Yong and Ambassador Su-Mai waiting for them. Admiral Tai-Yong shook Jai-1's hand. "Well done, Captain," he said with a smile. "You and your crew are heroes." Ambassador Su-Mai nodded. "You've not only saved Earth, but you've also changed how the galaxy sees us. We're no longer just a small, weak planet. We're a force to be respected." In the days that followed, there were many parties and ceremonies. The crew of the Thunderbolt received medals. Yunji was honored for her powerful new weapon. Hai-Jin got a special award for her quick thinking during the Battle of Titan. But it wasn't all celebrations. Leaders from all over the world met to talk about what to do next. They knew the Galdor might come back, or other aliens might try to attack Earth. "We need to be ready," said one leader. "We should build more ships like the Thunderbolt. And train more pilots like Sungmin," said another. Ambassador Su-Mai raised her hand. "Yes, we must be strong," she said. "But we should also try to make friends in space. Not all aliens will be like the Galdor." As the debates went on, Jai-1 found a quiet moment to talk with his crew. They met in a park, away from all the noise and excitement. "I'm proud of all of you," Jai-1 said. "We faced something we never expected, and we won." Min-Ji, the communication officer, spoke up. "Captain, do you think the Galdor will come back?" Jai-1 thought for a moment. "I don't know," he said honestly. "But if they do, we'll be ready. And maybe next time, we can talk instead of fight." Yun-Ji nodded. "I hope so. I'd rather use our technology to explore space than to make weapons." As they talked, people walking by recognized them. Children asked for autographs. Parents thanked them for protecting Earth. Jai-1 and his crew felt proud, but also a little uncomfortable with all the attention. Later that evening, Jai-1 stood alone, looking up at the stars. He thought about the vastness of space and all the unknown things out there. The battle with the Galdor had shown that humans could stand up to powerful aliens, but it had also shown how much they still had to learn. He remembered the moment when the Thunderbolt revealed its true size and power, the look of surprise and fear on the Galdor's faces. It had felt good to prove them wrong about humans. But Jai-1 also felt a little sad. He wished their first meeting with aliens could have been friendly. As he was thinking, he heard footsteps behind him. It was Admiral Tai-Yong. "Beautiful night," the Admiral said, looking up at the stars. Jai-1 nodded. "Yes, sir. But I can't help wondering what's out there, waiting for us." Tai-Yong put a hand on Jai-1's shoulder. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together. The Thunderbolt showed us what we can do when we work as one." Jai-1 smiled. "You're right, sir. So what's next for us?" The Admiral grinned. "Well, Captain, how do you feel about exploring? Now that we know we're not alone, it's time we go out there and see what the galaxy has to offer." Jai-1 felt excitement build inside him. Exploration had always been his dream. "The Thunderbolt and her crew are ready, sir," he said. As they talked about future missions, Jai-1 felt hope for the future. Yes, there might be more battles, but there would also be new discoveries, new friends to make, and a whole galaxy to explore. The moment aliens saw the might of a human battleship had changed everything. But it wasn't the end of the story. For humanity, it was just the beginning of a great adventure among the stars.